Hello, good morning, and happy Friday. Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, and disembodied hands, Quindy and Justin, and, the ever-elusive John sighting. It happens every once in a while. How are you all today on this wonderful Friday morning? Or, yeah, it's still morning for a lot of you, and evening for many of you. Hi, Europeans. Hello, hello, hello. Wow, an Absalon! Poof! A wild Absalon Quilby appears. Crazy Epsilon. I don't normally see you on the morning stream. It is Rogue Shadow is the liner in the this one, the Dark Reach. Here. Oh no, I'm wrong. It's Dark Reach Shadows in here. I was wrong. Nose. Happy lunch, Vimanakwa. I just had breakfast, so I don't need lunch yet. So maybe Rogue Shadow is in Dungeon Dwellers. I don't know, but Dark Reach is here. So, and this is this one, and the Gloom and Grave, as we know, is our Death Knight Black, which we love. So, I assume Rogue Shadow is a reddish one. I don't know. I don't have that one. Hello, Palos Ipep. How's it going? Hello to everyone. We have a Mushroom Queen. We do. With glowing little shroomy bits. And I feel like working on the back of her today, I think. Think we're going to do that. So we're going to actually work on the little skirt and the big top. And I was thinking about what to do with the big top. And I'm going to consult my visual reference. Yeah, I thought it sounded familiar. Fungus things. There's my fungus things. Yeah, so I want to do the back of her hood kind of like this color. So I want to take kind of the reddish rosy color and I want to bring it up toward a yellow, more toward a fleshy yellowy color. Alright, so I'm going to start with the fleshy color then and work that up. And I think I need to look at our color selections. I need to figure out what I want to use for the shadows. I think I want maybe a mixture of the fire red, the lotus orange, and we need to throw something in there to darken it. I think I may actually add a little blue just to darken it down. Beam and Aqua, I'm using directly the reference art in the Monster Manual, 5th edition. So, the Myconids page, there's a great overleaf, which I just showed on my face cam, with 2 Myconids in different colors, and so I used the colors from the Myconid on the left, but now I'm going to steal a little bit from the Myconid on the right. So, I am not very creative on this one. I actually really loved that concept art and decided that I wanted to steal the colors from it. Never. It's wood. Paint it. Actually, Vimanakwa, if you want a lesson on how to paint the ship, you should just look at the figurehead that I did part of ages ago, the pirate girl, because, there you go. No, it isn't, Greymouser, and that's exactly the point. It's the same reason I wouldn't do a big dragon anymore, is that it takes so long, and it's all scales. Like, you're already bored with just the scales on the wyvern. And that's just 2 days worth of scales. Like, if you had to deal with, 16 days worth of wood texturing, you would be so annoyed. And so would I. I would be super annoyed. And bored off my head. There's a reason I didn't buy that ship. So, I mean, airbrush. Airbrush, and that might even be one I would dip. Not that you could really dip it, because you'd have to have an entire can of Minwax. Like a big gallon can, and just dip entire sections of the ship in it after you airbrush the base coat on. But yeah, huge things like that, it's a lot of work if you want to do a nice job on it. But yeah, if you want to see like how I did the kind of worn off paint texture, that you want to look back at the Pirate Girl figurehead episodes. Well, that's exactly aged wood is what I did for the figurehead. Dead races. Barnacles are sculpted on though. Like they're raised. They're actually little nobules, little round knobs. So you'd have to sculpt those. Aging on the wood though is easy. I mean, wood tends to gray out though on a ship. If it gets to that point, you're pretty much dead. You don't ever want your wood to get to the point where it's actually gray, because that means that it's really dry and it's probably going to crack. But as far as aging out parts of it, like I said, go look at the figurehead I did. She's put away, or I'd get her out. But essentially I did the paint fading into wood coloration thing. So the paint is only strong in the areas that the water isn't directly hitting, and then it fades out into the wood texture. But yeah. Sure, you could do it, Absalon. I mean, you could always find a fantasy magic, reason to paint anything, any color you want. If you really want to go there, go for it. But anyway, let's get some colors out. I can see that this is a squirrel day for the chat. Squirrel day. I need my Lotus Orange. We used some pretty bright colors starting out, and then we faded them out. Squirrel. I almost grabbed my squirrel shirt for this stream, because today's my slacker day. You guys are the last work that I'm doing this day. I'm actually taking a day off during the week because I'm done with my Patreon stuff. I worked my butt off this month. So yeah, Miss Nimp, I'm with you. Paint it up quickly. It's terrain. Hit a few details. Maybe do a cool job on your figurehead, right? It's a giant boat. Like, either you're gonna just really, really just airbrush and, like, do some details and done, or you're gonna spend some time on it. Like, I'm gonna do, I think a 50-50 mix of fire red. I think I actually might go fire red plus cyan blue or nightmare black. Let's, because we used nightmare with our blue, and I want a darker color for in between the back here. So let me mix some nightmare black into this red. If I add orange to it, I'm gonna add orange to highlight, and then I need to decide like how I'm gonna do this. So there are two ways we could do this. We could take forever and paint in between all these little, you could line around all these little things here. Or we could paint the dark color all over the top and then either dry brush or paint the sections we want to be lighter. And that's the second way is the way that I would usually do it. Let me see if this is a color I want though. Just wanted a darker red. Yeah, that is actually, this is a good pretty red. Pretty red. Kind of a garnet color actually. This is 4 drops of fire red with 1 drop of nightmare black, which usually makes it go a little bit purple. Hello, love. How's it going? Hey, love, you can be in time for my big news. So today, David, my significant other, and I pick up the keys to our house. New house, guys. That's the new announcement. That's the announcement that I was waiting for today. Yes. Yeah, my people who come to my private stream that I do on Thursdays over on, well, my personal stream, not private. Anybody can stop in. But over on twitch.tv/paintingbig, I do my own personal stuff, and they got to hear it early. But yeah, today's the day. We pick up our keys. We visited the house last night and did a walkthrough, and great. I'm glad you got an AND class, Dogfather. It'll be cool to have you in class. But yeah, so that's our excitement for today is tonight, or after we get the keys, somewhere between 1 and 3 is when we pick up the keys. But I will take my first box of stuff over to the new house. It probably should be a box of miniatures because, look at who we are. You know what this means though, guys? You know what this means? Puppy. That's what this means. Probably not right away, because I have to wait for a Kiri great grand dog to be born. But yes, but this means a new puppy, because we have a small yard. It's just big enough, actually. The yard is just big enough. The yard is small enough that I won't feel overwhelmed, and just big enough to be a good dog yard. I don't want to give you the MLS because David would rather not show you all what he paid to say. But Gray Mouser, I will put up some pics in my own Discord, and maybe I'll pop one over in Reaper off topic just to show you guys. They will be named according. David and I will get together on a name. I don't believe in naming a dog. Like, having a pre-possibility name is good, but then you get the dog and like you're like, this dog is not a Leo or a Kiri at all. This is a dog that's a whatever. So I always like to get the puppy. Yeah, it would be weird. Exactly trash. Like, I mean, the staged pictures are beautiful of the house. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to share them with you, but I'll just get my own. You know what this is? This is black cherry. If I was doing this color, like if I was creating this color, this would be called black cherry. That's what this color is. I just want to share that with y'all. But yeah. Yeah, that's the way to do it, love. Like David had been saving for a very long time. Honestly, I don't know if he would have bought one, but he knows how much I miss Kiri. And we also, to be fair, with both of our miniatures collections, we kind of need a house for our miniatures. It's actually 8 fire red and 2 nightmare black gray wolf. Yes. So I am just gonna slobber this on because it's fast, and then we're gonna go back over the top and we're gonna bring out all these little crinkly bits with some white so that we can go over them with really much paler colors. But this is the easy way to get a dark color in between everything, so we're just going to do this first. This also lets me do kind of a shaded base coat, so I can take more Nightmare Black and add shadows in and just wet blend them with my big fat brush here. This is my big fat mixing brush, which mixing brushes are great for wet blending big areas. Just because you don't care about them and you can just smush them all around because they're already wrecked. Yeah, so super excited about the house. Glad to finally be able to tell you all. We didn't want to really tell you before this because I didn't want to jinx it. But yeah, super happy. And guys, with this new house comes a new dedicated streaming office for Anne because we have a micro bedroom, a small bedroom in between 2 big bedrooms. So it's going to be my office. I get an office all to myself. Well, actually, considering how puppies get when they're teething, Shark is not a bad name for a young puppy. Nomad Seek. They get very mouthy. Oh, yeah. No, that's what David was in. Actually, David had an even smaller one, I think. He had a huge balcony, but he was in a very small apartment, love, when he was over on... he used to live off of Noe, in Noe Valley. And, when he's like, well, you should move in with me, you know, when I was first thinking of moving, I was like, Kiri and I cannot fit with you in this apartment. So that's when he moved down south to the South Bay and got this place, which is slightly bigger. This is about 1,000 square feet. But yeah, the new house is over 1,500, plus it's got a finished garage, which essentially counts as another room. So we're super happy. We'll have a hobby room, a dedicated hobby and computer gaming room, which is big and has big windows. And we'll have a streaming office for me, and the master bedroom's very nice. And it's just, yeah, it's lovely. I can't wait. The only thing it didn't have that we wanted was a gas stove, but I'm cooking on electric now. I've been cooking on electric for the last couple years, so I can just deal with it. Yeah, it is expensive. I mean, a lot of people are. I mean, love, you could do the reverse Anne. You could move to Texas. It's like, we'll export some mini painters to Texas. We'll import some mini painters to California. And we'll balance it karmically. Nah, yeah, I know Texas, right? Yeah, you could be close to Reaper. Actually, North Texas was really nice, love. I have to say that when I was living in Wisconsin and I had lived out in the Baltimore area for a while also... and at first I was kind of scared to move to Texas because I was pretty liberal. Let's just say that. But actually, North Texas is a really cool melting pot of people from all over, and in the north of the DFW, and I really enjoyed it there. So just to say, don't. A lot of people hear the word Texas and they're like, yeah. Oh, if you can't handle the heat, yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha. Those are all really valid reasons. Okay, well then, Colorado. Colorado, Utah, somewhere. I don't know. Everywhere is expensive right now. Even my parents, like, they just sold the house I grew up in. And, I mean, when you build a house 40 years ago for $30,000 and you sell it for over $400K in rural Wisconsin, you do pretty well. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, we buy houses to fit our hobbies. You're funny, Capsulon. Moving to California too. This is the hill you will die on. Oh, funny. Okay, well, it's not a politics stream, so let's just end that there. It's a painting stream, but still. I hope you find a good place, whatever, if and when you do decide to move, because it sounds like you're building a big family too, love, and that can be very hard when rents are so high and everything. So whatever happens, I hope that you find your happy place, your best place. The best place for you and your fam. That's the important part, wherever it is. Yeah, I am. I'm a bleeding heart liberal. I'll just admit it. I believe in being nice to everybody. I'm the big soft-hearted person. People are people. That is what it is. We're all so different and we're also the same, right? But yeah, I hope you find your best place, love. It's been really nice, like, virtually meeting you. I hope to meet you in person, like, someday. Now that David and I will have a place, we will actually host, like, a painting afternoon at some point, most likely. So, if you are interested in, like, leaving the kids with your hub for, like, a couple hours and coming up and meeting some people who paint in the Bay Area, including David and I, you'd be welcome. I'll let you know when we schedule. First, we have to move in, so it probably won't be till later in the fall. All right, so that's a beautiful color. Look at that. Ooh, it's so pretty. It's almost a shame to cover it up with other colors. And I do need to do my wet blending if I'm going to be doing it. So she's very, very muted on the front. This is still a muted color. It's just a darker color on the back. I am going to mix up some Nightmare Black and do some shading based on how I see the shadows fall when I hold this cap up. There we go. Pretty color. So pretty. Yeah, totally. Like, nobody's managed to get, like, anything going with the painting day, so... And now things are kind of weird now again with the pandemic, so we'll just play by ear. We need to take time to move in, and then we'll try to organize just a small group. Because we won't have, like, tons of room, but, yeah, we'll try to organize at least a small group, get some things going. Because I miss painting with people. I mean, I paint with people every morning with you guys. And I do love my Thursday stream where we just hang out and I work on whatever my competition entry is. Oh, I should show you while you're here, love, actually, since you don't have time. We've been working on the halfling. I've decided that the only model I'm going to get done for ReaperCon is the halfling. So we have been working on her. So she is getting there. She's really, really getting there. We're doing a lot of cloth texture on her cape right now. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on. For all of you who think about coming over on Thursday to my channel, you can watch me, that was wrong. You watch me paint for competition. Luckily, we're wet blending, so that doesn't really matter. And that's kind of in a crease up top anyway. Yeah, Puppy will probably be next year winter, just because I want to wait. I want to wait for a little while. David and I would like to travel. We might want to go to World Expo next year since the World Expo was postponed, Miniatures World Expo. Or we may want to go to a show called Monte Sansevino in Italy, which is also a miniatures competition type of show. So I'm just like blocking in some Nightmare, wherever the creases in the cap are. And I can grab my black cherry color. I'm just going to call it black cherry at this point. That's what its name is. And kind of wet blend it in. Use a big fat brush with no tip. You're working over a textured surface and you're blending huge areas together. So just use a brush with no tip. Something that you could almost stipple wet blend with, which is exactly what I'm doing. And you can set up those shadows with a nice blend. Nice soft blend. Aw. Yeah, that would be awesome, love. Well, you still paint though, right? You just won't be streaming a lot. But hey, going back to work is also cool. I'm gonna focus in here. There we are. But yeah, I'll contact you on Discord when we get something together. We'll probably do like a little like kind of like lunch and snacks and painting, like noon to 4, show up anytime kind of thing, maybe. Something informal and not too big for our first entertainment. I do like having people over and having food and painting or board games or whatever, so. There we go. So again, just block in a big shadow on the underside of this cap. And paint's all wet, so you could just sit here and kind of smoosh it together. It lets you create a really nice blended shadow before you even start putting in like detailing. So it essentially lets you block in your backdrop here. I really like, I haven't played a lot recently. I'm trying to think of what we always used to play. Small World is my favorite board game that I've tried relatively recently, although it came out several years ago. I like Small World a lot. I didn't like Dominion that much, but some Dominion is good. I just don't like the types of Dominion where you screw over where you have to screw over your fellow players. I like, this is horrible, and I wonder how this game is doing now, but I actually like the Cthulhu version of Pandemic. And there are a number of Cthulhu-based games that I do like, so. Classes are selling out fast, for sure. They always do. So if you are going to ReaperCon and you want classes, you should run over and make sure you get what you want. Or you may not get what you want. You may get what you need. One hopes, right? Rolling Stones reference. Achievement unlocked. Alright, so y'all can see what I'm doing, right? It's just like, these are going to be toward the light. Those are going to be in shadow, so I am filling in my shadows and blending them in so that I don't have to worry about it later. Ooh. Yeah, I like cooperative games too. I don't like games that force me to kind of screw over my fellow players. Although with games like Small World, I don't feel bad about it because you kind of expect your civilization to be eaten. And then you start another one. Yeah, that's what I think trash is. Like, I played the original, and I was like, all right, I guess I can see how people get into this, but I love the Cthulhu one. Like, I love it. That's one of the only board games I own. I also like, I mean, they're not party, but I do like, we have stuff like Gloomhaven, that's more, and Kingdom Death Monster. That's more David and I and maybe a couple friends game, because those are campaigns. But the other one I really love for big parties is Apples to Apples. And also, what's the politically incorrect one? Cards Against Humanity. We used to play that at Reaper parties all the time. Those are just great big party games, But yeah, I think Small World's one of my favorite board games, and then, those others I mentioned are also Mansions of Madness, more Cthulhu, really like that. I mean, there's, like I said, Mansions of Madness is a Cthulhu-based one that I like, that I think that's Fantasy Flight, and then, but then the Pandemic Cthulhu, I really like it. because it's not really Pandemic. It's Cthulhu. Cthulhu Invades Your World. I've heard that King of Tokyo is great. I just have not played it. There's a lot of games I've just not played. Because most of the time, my old group... I'm going to back out so you guys can see this. So you see what I'm doing? So, like, highlights are going to go here. I need to probably bring this shadow up just a little bit here. It's pretty good there. Now, what this enables me to do is to selectively highlight parts of this. If I don't want to put brighter colors in the shadows, I can concentrate on the highlight areas here. Do you guys want to see me dry brush, like the once in a lifetime, like Anne actually dry brushes on screen? I'll try it. I won't like it because it's gonna be too scratchy. The texture will be scratchy, but I'll do it. Where's my favorite dry brushing brush? There. I actually really like rounded brushes, filberts. Boop. Yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts of games, like, since I don't work directly at Reaper anymore, and I'm not always walking through the game store, and I don't have, like, board game friends around here yet, I don't know any of the new stuff that's come out. So I am woefully... Alright, let me put this over here. Man, I need to clean up my sticky notes. My sticky notes have gotten out of hand here. So when I dry brush, I actually use a bit of paper, just a sticky note, to clean off my brush on. I don't like using paper towels because I find I get fibers and stuff like that. I'm going to put some white into my palette. But then I'm cleaning my brush off on this. And this is a very soft brush, relatively speaking. It is a synthetic. I think it's a... Yeah, it's an Arnell. So it's a pretty standard brand for canvas painting. But I like this shape for dry brushing. I like the softer shape that it gives. I tend to not dry brush fast. Make sure your brush is fairly dry when you dry brush also. That's why it's called dry brushing. It does tend to wreck brushes, which is another reason I don't use it very often. And I normally keep brushes specifically for dry brushing. So you want to go until it's pretty dry. And then you want to go lightly over the surface. And as you can see, I'm not doing the... I'm actually doing kind of a selective dry brush. I like to do more controlled. I'm going to actually do it top down so that the paint adheres more to the top part of each of these little areas. But this will serve to outline these little guys. The angle of the brush is important if you're doing this way. You want a soft angle. You can see I've got a little bit too much paint on my brush there. You can take it off. So I'm using this in this case to set up underpainting. I could just go through and like individually fill in each of these, but it would take a long time. And I'm not really invested in that. So decided I wanted to go a little faster. Nope. I don't, like I said, like, I haven't been in a game store in a while. I haven't, like, David likes board games and card games, but neither of us has been able to be social, so we don't know anything new that's come out. We haven't played anything, haven't been exposed to anything that's even relatively new. And I was not ever a big board gamer. Like, there are specific games I really like, but I'm not I would prefer to paint, like, almost always, if I'm going to get together with people. Or I was more likely to run an RPG. Like, so my last gaming group, we did, like, a bit of board and card gaming, like, when we just, when I wasn't ready or hadn't had time to work on the game. But otherwise, we were more likely to play an RPG session than we were to do board games or card games. And that's kind of my preference. I'd rather play an RPG than most board games or card games. Or do a paint night. Oh, yep. Have a fun time, love. It was nice to see you again. Have a great day. All right. So let's get this over. Ah! test. Yeah, perfect. Now we can go a little heavier too as we get a feel for the dry brush. I usually start out light and then I kind of assess and I start layering over. Now here we ran into a little bit of wetter paint. I'm getting a little bit more pink. That's not a deal breaker at all. Can kind of use that color to blend in some of this stuff. Blend it in down. And I could put more pressure on and go faster as I'm trying to blend this down into this. They're still wet down here too, so I can actually wet blend dry brush this to drag that color back. But then I'm inevitably going to drag some of that dark color up too, so I need to watch that. It's time to rinse the brush because I don't want to wreck it. Oh, did my classes. I've got 2. I have to go and remind myself what they are. Everybody does this, I swear. Every painter I know does this. They throw their new classes, or they throw their classes into the con, and it's like months away, and you totally forget what you submitted for your classes. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know. The Cthulhu Pandemic is so good. I just don't feel like I need any other version. Like, I appreciate the game mechanic, but... And I'm glad, Crows, that you got your ReaperCon swag box. It's awesome. Now you have paint, right? Paint. So if you rinse out your brush and you're doing more dry brushing and you want to really dry it off, I mean, I always kind of rub it against my hand. I just kind of like... Until I start to the point where I can't really feel a lot of moisture anymore, and then I know I can reload it. I hope you guys appreciate the fact that I'm doing dry brushing tips. Like, the cold day in Hades, really. I just am in a good mood today, so I'm like, let's do something completely unconventional for Anne that she never does. Yeah, Sagebrush. I mean, the difference between, there's a finite number of subjects to teach in mini painting, really. But the difference is in an in-person class, you're getting direct real-time feedback. So you are doing the steps and I am like right there to help you with the steps. That's the big difference between taking an in-person seminar or class, and with me anyway, and doing something online. Don't get me wrong, there are advantages to Patreon because you can get the camera like right there, but you also can't get live like, oh, I see what you're doing with that brush. Here, try this. You don't get that. Yeah, should totally note dry brushing in the show notes, Justin, if you're listening. Oh, I totally missed that edge. I need to get that. Like I said, I'm in a good mood. It's a great day. It's a fantastic day. It's a day off, and it's new house day. It's moved my first box of miniatures crap over to the new house day. It's just like, it's a great weekend. Actually, I kind of like how this is turning out. Like, you can see how the dry brushing is leaving a bit of texture. You can see its weaknesses in that it's inconsistent. But I'm going to be going over this with other colors, all of these. I just want to leave that red in the cracks. So for me, this is like definitely, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, essentially some of the... I won't glaze. I'm going to paint over it directly. This is just a fast underpaint for me, Cranston. If I didn't do it this way, I'd have to individually paint each of these little bits to get them lighter so that I could put lighter, brighter colors over them without having to do 60 coats. So this enables me to do it fast because I don't need my underpainting to be super solid. I just need it to be lighter so that my lighter salmon-y and coral colors and orange colors can go over the top without fighting this dark red. So I'm not going to glaze it all. I'm actually going to paint right over it. This is underpainting. It's just fast underpainting. So I actually am going for speed on this because otherwise this mushroom cap would take forever. Thus why we are using dry brushing. Yes, and my classes, like, whenever we say we want less people in the class, Reaper raises the price because we have to still help pay for the space because the hotel space is really expensive. So each class has to make a certain amount. So if you have more people, you can make it cheaper, but if you have less people, you need to make it a little more expensive. And also I must say, I give a very high level of hands-on feedback in my class, so I think it's worth it. Let's see here. You did, Marvel. You did. Indeed. I made my announcement earlier. We pick up the keys to our new residence later today. All of the stuff is done. All the papers are signed. Pretty much they're just notifying the city that we are the new owners. And when that communication is received and logged, we pick up our keys. It's pretty awesome. Then we have to do a whole bunch of other things, like, set up internet so that I can stream from there, and set up all the stuff you need to set up in your new house. Although David's taken care of some of it already, but... So and this is kind of this cool crackle effect. It's really neat. I'm going to do just a tiny bit in the shadows, but a very tiny bit. Just a little bit. There we go. Because we don't want to lose our shadows. But we don't want them to be totally featureless either. This is so much fun. Like, this is just like... This is why terrain is fun. Like, otherwise I don't normally use dry brushing except for terrain. And, yeah, Val, you almost missed it. Yeah, I have an office, Agent Marvel. Like, you guys will finally get a better stream background, because I'm going to buy a screen for behind me. I'm excited. Like, I'm super excited. Yeah, the new liners look really nice. That's great, Sagebrush. Yeah, every instructor's got a different style, right? And different teaching style, and a different, like, how hands-on they are, how descriptive they are, what tools they use. Like, we're all very different. And that's the way it has to be, right? Because every instructor appeals to, like, there's always that student who's that instructor is perfect for, right? So here I'm running my brush over my hand again to check how dry it is before I reload it for dry brushing. I don't want to feel a lot of moisture in it, but a tiny bit. If it's a tiny bit cool, I'm all right. This helps also just wick the moisture out of it. Thanks, Carrie. Yeah, we're super excited. Super, super, super duper excited. And then as I mentioned, next winter, about a year from now, I'll probably have a new puppy. A little longer than a year from now. There's a specific dog and litter that I'm talking to the breeder about. So if all goes well, which, sometimes it doesn't, but if all goes well, then we'll have a new pup. But we want to travel a little bit. Want to get over to Europe for a show or two. Take a vacation. Get that out of the way before we get the new puppy. And have to worry about getting a pet sitter or kenneling. When in doubt, Valendar, throw a bunch of paint that looks promising in a paper bag, rustle it around, pick out 3 colors, put them down, and choose one. Make yourself choose one. And then work from that. Or you can use the random color generator table that I made. Which is pretty much that. Yeah, Agent, for sure. Because I want a Kiri great-great-granddaughter. Or grandson, depending. I want to get the smooth coat, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I want a Kiri descendant. And there are a couple of Kiri's descendants in our gene pool, so that's like super exciting to me, like, because I miss my girl so much. But it's also really awesome that I'll be able to get one that's related to her. I don't know, Sagebrush. I mean, I've competed at Crystal Brush, and the European painters who I respect really liked my work. So it depends on the show, probably. I mean, the one thing that I don't do that I probably need to do more of to be taken very seriously would be conversion. I like stock models, and I cannot lie. I like just looking at, what the sculptor has done and working with it. And I tend not to do too many mods, but just like with Golden Demon, a lot of those guys are also, halfway or full sculptors as well as painters. And so it can be difficult to compete unless you also display some proficiency in that arena. Like, everybody is always going to be more impressed if you take a bust they've seen 100 times and then make it into something that looks fresh, right? I'm fine with bases. I can do display bases. I feel like I can compete on that level. Although I do like busts, and that totally takes bases out of the question. But yeah, if we decide we're going to go to Italy, to Monte Sansovino, that means I have to like commit to a hardcore project. So what do you guys see? I think the dry brush looks actually really good. This cap has such great detail that Christine put on it, I gotta say. It's just lovely. So I did do a tiny bit of dry brushing in the shadows that I put in, but only a tiny bit, just because we want to keep this somewhat consistent, right? But I think that crackling effect looks really lovely on that cap. I really like how it's turning out. Yeah, and then I need to add some of this rosy salmon-y color. That's going to be the color that goes on top of these. So that'll tie it in. I did notice I missed a couple edges that I need to get. See the gray there? So I need to get that quick with my black cherry. This model could be very simple. I'm making it a lot more elaborate probably than it needs to be. I'm gonna actually put my glasses on and get this sucker tapped in. There, we'll just get a little bit. I want to get a little bit of a border in here. And using a big brush, just because. So bringing that little dark stripe there and sharply defining that edge looks very nice also. So. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look at, I kind of want to paint one of my Limbo models like Wolf Lady for a big competition. But also you got to think about transporting it overseas. I don't know that I would want to transport her overseas. Like, that lance is just made to snap. But on the other hand, I know that I can paint that wolf better than any other version I've seen. You got to play to your strengths. So, you work on your weaknesses, but you play to your strengths. It's the way it goes. That's the ideal way. That sounds like an Easter troll. Green, yellow, pink. So I'm going to take this black cherry and I'm going to get a good brush in my hand and put in a nice kind of crisp line between this pale undercolor and the back color. Just because that crisp line, I like how it looks up against that. And you don't want to leave a muddy line there. But yeah, we'll have to think of it. I have till next year. World Expo is in July next year. So I have a full year if we commit to going to the Miniatures World Expo in the Netherlands. There we go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Easter egg troll does sound pretty cool. Especially if you like sculpted little bunny ears, like a little, you know, a little headband with bunny ears on it. He's the Easter bunny, really he is. That would be pretty awesome. There we go. So again, just reinforcing that line, making it nice and crisp. You don't want to like leave like unfinished edges or anything that looks messy. And it's very easy to do that when one edge meets another, especially when the edges are so different. You're looking at the top and you're looking at the bottom and you're not looking at the part in the middle here that otherwise is going to be like, you could miss spots or it'll look really rough, and you don't want that. You want it to look nice and crisp. So we'll put on our little black cherry line all the way around. Let's look at all the spaces that I missed here. Hey, I like comedy miniatures as much as the next girl. Like, the best dioramas at ReaperCon are the funny ones. Like, it's nice when they're also painted well, but I really appreciate a comedic idea executed well in miniature. Oh dear. Apparently the garbage truck is out there, so if you guys hear a big clang, don't worry, it should go away soon. It's almost stretch time. There we go. Just really want to, and then this edge is going to be the thing that's going to be the most likely to rub off. So we also just need to remember that, keep an eye on it, try to probably use our bubble wrap after this. Before there was a lot of unpainted area, but now we're starting to get down to the point where we don't have a lot of unpainted area. So I probably need to get out a new square of bubble wrap for this model. Because now we want to preserve the paint that we've got, so that we have a minimum of touch-ups to do. I mean, almost inevitably, you're gonna have touch-ups to do. Oh, really, Mac Attack? Oh, did they get one? Did they put in a hot tub at their house? Or I should say Ron. Ron does not live with Sophie. He lives with his wife, but Adrian probably was like, yeah, not gonna be that modeled on that mini. I don't usually Viewman Aqua unless it's gonna go, since some of these would go to Reaper, I'll put one coat of Reaper brush on sealer on them. But I normally, for my competition models, unless I'm going to ship it to somebody, I'm not going to seal it. I find often I do not need to. And if I do, I use a little bit of brush on sealer. Tester's Dull Coat was the only spray sealer I really trusted. All the other ones have too much shine. And now Tester's is out of business, so I haven't tried the new version of the super matte sealer. But since I know the brush on works, I'm more likely to just switch to brush on. Because sealer is such a loaded gun, because if you don't know what the result's going to be and you spent all these hours on this miniature, oh, render. But yeah, when you spend hours and hours on a miniature and then you've got this sealer that you like aren't sure what it's gonna do, like, yeah, I don't like that. So I find that brush on is more flexible coat. and I know what the finish is on that. I know it's the finish I want. So, yeah, sealers are really like... I'm hesitant to use them often. Unless, like I said, if I'm shipping it or it's going to a company, then I do seal it. Because it may see more transit, more shipping, more handling, just in general. But my own competition pieces, I never seal. I find the paint adheres well enough that if it's going to be a display model, I really don't have to worry about it. I mean, I have what I want, Star Wars Geek. So yeah, I'll make a note that Liquitex does a decent matte varnish, but I find that the brush-on sealers work pretty well. If I'm going to seal it all. I think the selling point, I've told this story before, but I paint commissions for Dark Sword miniatures every once in a while. And I was shipping them to Jim for a while until he started coming to ReaperCon on a regular basis, and then I would just save them. But when I was shipping them to Jim, I was using brush-on sealer, and a sword bent in transit to him. And pretty much he was able to, when he got it, to bend the sword back, and the paint just had popped away from the surface of the sword and just went slurp. So it didn't flake, it didn't chip. It just, like, the flexibility of the sealer enabled it to just be bent back into position without the paint letting loose of the metal or cracking or doing any of that. And that's when I kind of decided I liked the brush-on sealer, because if that had been a dull-coated mini, it would have flaked right off. The paint would have flaked right off. Yeah, I mean, that's always right, Carrie. Any type of thing, especially if you're spraying, but even that's sometimes just a regular coat. Like, everything isn't made just to be neutral and to work together with other brands. So you should always check, always test it to make sure you're getting what you want and that it doesn't react. Because, yeah, I've had issues with polymer clays and spray stuff before of various types. All right, I think I've got my nice crisp line touch up. No more gray showing. That's good. Nice, and it also gives her a nice. See how it gives her a nice crinkly edge. Nice crisp edge around the edge of the cap now, which I like. I may go through and tighten that at some point a little bit more, because I actually do really like that effect of having that dark line around the edge of the cap. You wouldn't even need a class, Gray Monster. All you need is like 10 minutes. I did. If you're in my Patreon, I have a PDF on how to use Reaper additives, and actually, if you could find it with a search, I'm pretty sure I flagged it as additives. But you should be able to find it if you're a patron. If not, then I know I've talked about various ones here and there. Thank you very much, Quindy. And Quindy just linked to my Patreon. If you're not a patron, it's at the $5 level, I'm pretty sure. That's the one I analyze Reaper MSP paints all the time on. But yeah, patreon.com/paintingbig. It is my love, my Patreon. I put a lot of energy into it every month. But yeah, it's not just Reaper additives though, you know, it's also... It's all the everything. There's so many additives out there by so many different companies. Just always test it with your paint and a mini you don't care much about to make sure that you don't get a bad reaction. Because there are reactions that can happen that will severely disappoint you. I speak from experience. But yeah, a lot of the Reaper additives are very, very self-explanatory. Like Flow Improver, you add a drop of that in place of a drop of water if you want a little bit more flow, if you're doing fine detail. Can also use it in washes if you want, but sealer is sealer. The thing to know about our brush-on sealer is that if you use it straight from the bottle, it's going to have a little bit of life to it. Little tint towards satin on the finish. But if you even use like 1 drop of water, it'll go to exactly the finish of the MSP paint. So I usually do like shake it really, really well too, because the matte agent wants to settle out. So shake it really, really well. About 5 drops in my palette, 1 drop of water, and it will look like I didn't even put a sealer on, which is what I want. If you want a little bit of life, you can not thin it and use it straight out. The other thing to know about sealers is that, I mean, the reason they seal is that they make kind of a micro texture on the surface to interrupt light so that it doesn't look shiny. So that means that if you put many, many coats of a sealer that is otherwise matte down, it will slowly build up a gloss. So be aware of that. Putting multiple coats on, you get diminishing returns. That even would happen with Tester's Dull Coat if you put enough coats on it. Because essentially you're filling in that texture a little bit with every additional coat. You won't notice it for a couple of coats, but then there will come a point where you put a coat on and it will look a little glossy and you'll be like, whoa, what happened? And that's why. I think that elderly cats pretty much corner the market on like getting into trouble. I'm gonna do a stretch. It's stretch break time. We can look at our black. It's kind of like Cherry Garcia ice cream, right? Oh, that's a little more cherry, I guess. But it's got some vanilla swirl in it there on her mushroom cap. Yeah, that's a tried and true gamer's method to protect a gaming miniature Grey Mouser. I just never do it on a display model because I don't want that huge heavy gloss coat on there, and I don't want to take the chance that I can't get past it. I don't own them, Model Newbie. But I mean, there's always a chance I'll work on it, but it's not on my list right now. Like I've pretty much got models probably for the next several months set up, and I do not have a Merfolk currently. I could totally add one in, but I can't tell you when that would be. But I don't know of anybody. I know a couple of Reaper fans who are working on them. So maybe if you go to the Reaper Discord, which is free, and I bet QuimD can put a link to it in our chat here. But if you go to the Reaper Discord and just ask there if anybody's painting the Merfolk, I bet a bunch of people would put up pictures of their work in progress and finished Merfolk for you if you're looking for ideas or tips or if you have questions. There we go. Quindy's got you. I use the Reaper brush-on sealer, J.K. Ebert. I used to use Tester's Dull Coat. I still have a can of it. If I'm going to use a spray varnish, that would be my spray varnish of choice. Otherwise, I prefer brush-on sealers. Feel free to get up and take a stretch break with me, folks, if you've been sitting for more than an hour. Stretch out your shoulders, stretch out your back. Oh, I knew somebody whose cat wouldn't drink except out of a dripping bathroom faucet. That's finicky cat, that is. Yeah, the Discord's always a good resource because we've got over 1,000 people on there, Model Newbie, so chances are somebody's going to be painting those Merfolk. I mean, I think I know Rubigon was actually working on them, I thought. So... You have a cat that's in good shape, Valendar. Why are you complaining? Yeah, I mean, there are brush-on sealers. They tend to be a little bit, like I said, okay, so paint chemistry before I go and do a floor exercise. So spray-on varnishes or sealers are spraying a bunch of little tiny droplets at a model, right? they're building up like tiny pebbles or grains of sand. They're sticking to each other. And, you know, they're making a layer. When you're brushing on a coat, the pebbles are going to be different. They're going to be a little bit more plasticky because you just can't do a plasticky resin in a spray aerosol. It would clog. So, you know, there's just the intrinsic difference of the type of product that you're using between an aerosol sealer and a brush-on sealer. And because they are able to be a little more plasticky, a little bit more soft, they're a little more flexible. And it's more like a vinyl skin or a latex skin that you're putting over the model and less a collection of tiny, tiny particles. And that's why you get, I think, a little bit more flexibility, like with bending and things, with a brush-on sealer. Also, if you want our Reaper brush-on sealer to go more matte, you can use our anti-shine additive to just add a tiny bit. On occasion, I do that if I want to make sure that I get a really very matte coat. I'll just add a tiny bit, and I mean a tiny bit. I mean like a bit on the end of a toothpick, because our anti-shine additive is powerful stuff. And just add that in and tune it till I get the finish I want. I'll just paint the underside of a base, and then I'll test my sealer on that until I get exactly the finish I want. But yeah, so good deal. I'm going to go and do my floor exercise, and then I will be back, and we have another half hour, and we can start putting some of the lighter colors in there. All right. Oh, I need to turn my fan on. It's getting a little warm in here. Ah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can also use sealers to fill in bits of flaws and stuff. I don't tend to do that. I tend to use green. Although actually on really, really just very lightly pebbled surfaces, I have tried to use a sealer filler before. All right, let's see here. What color do I want? We have our pink and coral colors. So we need 1 fire red, 2 lotus orange, and 1 rosy skin. So I'm going to double that recipe because this is a big mushroom cap. So lotus orange is, of course, the new Kickstarter color. I hope all of you ordered. And if you don't, I hope all of you buy. And then I need 1 drop of rosy skin to make it this very pretty, deep, rosy, fleshy color there. Where's my rosy skin? There is my rosy skin. Yes, happy birthday! Yes, I'm always highly scientific. Trash, you should know that. Always. All right, let's see here. Mixing brush. This is a very pretty color also. This is more like maraschino cherry. So we've got black cherry and maraschino cherry. Ah, dear. I wonder what this makes. This makes a pretty color too. Sometimes you just need to mix things. You need to just throw things together and go, oh, that's pretty. Let's use this. And we're going to add some water. I think I want a little more orange in there though, because I want to take it up toward yellow. But yeah, today is a really good day, Lady Nim. I'm glad it's your birthday. For me, it is a slacker day that I've earned through hard work, so I get to just kick back for the rest of the day and relax. And the most strenuous thing I will do is carry the first box of crap over to our new abode, our new house. Definitely ceremonially carrying a box of miniatures over there at some point. Alrighty. Let's see what this color looks like. This is where the painstakingness happens because I don't want texture. So that means I have to actually paint in these little guys. Starting now. But that's alright. I'm going to experiment with doing part of the cap here. I'm going to highlight it all up. We're going to do a proof of concept. And if we like it, we're going to continue on. So this is a pretty standard base coating. So it's about thinned about 4:1. Maybe it's about 5:1 actually, because some of these colors, like the Lotus Orange, is a little transparent. So if I want this a little stronger, need to make it a little thicker. Although the addition of the rosy skin does mean that it gives it a little coverage, because the rosy skin's got a lot of white in it. It has very good coverage. I wanted to get this, I thought about doing the skirt today instead, but I wanted to get this cap blocked in because it's so huge. It's going to be such a big part of the back of the model here. And I may shift the colors over it. I may like start with this kind of pink and yellow up here and then kind of fade it down towards some greens down here. To see what I can do just with some interesting color shift. Because it's fungus, really, it can be any color we want it to be. And I do want to grab this Lotus and like do a highlight, a little bit of a highlight toward Lotus, and then even add in some yellow and see how this works. But I want to get this section kind of blocked in first. Still, by the end of the stream today, we'll have highlighted this little area and we will have an opinion on how we should proceed. And this is really good practice, too, if you're building your brush control. Since you're just, you know, painting little precise geometric shapes, they're not terribly small, most of them, and some of them are little. They will test you a little bit more, but that's not a bad thing. Yeah, drying retarder is essentially slow dry. If you use it, use a very, very little of it. It will keep your paint from drying in your palette a little bit. It'll make it dry slower. And the anti-shine additive is exactly what it says. If you have a paint that's slightly glossy or that looks a little glossier, or you want to make a sealer a little bit more matte, or say you wanted to use our gloss sealer, but you wanted it to be more of a satin, you wanted a satin sealer, you could adjust our gloss sealer by adding a little anti-shine additive to it. That kind of stuff. We actually have a couple months, Trash. So, and here they allow you to extend month by month. So if we don't quite get out, we could, but we really, obviously, we don't want to have to spend any more in rent than we absolutely have to. So we're going to try to be out by the end of this month. But we have a whole additional month still left on the lease. I'm also going to use just some Nightmare Black if I need to if I see a spot that I missed. In little tiny pieces, the blue isn't really going to show up, so... Tiny amounts, Grey Mouser, of both of those. Like, I mean, I normally... Okay, if I was using brush on sealer or something, I would be grabbing, like, just a little bit. Like, that white on that brush. You definitely, it's something, both of those, if you go too far, you're going to wreck your paint. So, just little amounts at a time. Build them up. Test it. I usually just paint a base. Just paint it like flat black or a different darker color so I can see it. I brush it like the paint over the top and take a look at how it's acting for the anti-shine. Even for the drying retarder, I just honestly add just a tiny bit. Just like, if you have 8 drops of paint, you could add 1 drop of drying retarder, you're good. Or even half a drop, you'd be fine. Just, don't overdo it on those. Additives are meant to be used in small amounts. We probably, there would be, I mean, we committed to a full year lease, so there's no reason for us not to, like, see out the lease. I mean, 2 months is a nice, relaxed move. And that's kind of what we want. We don't want to be, like, having to rush. I mean, David's got some work stuff coming up that's pretty intense, and I have to keep up my end of work, too, and I'm probably going to be doing a bulk of the small moving, because he's going to be at the office, but I can usually make time, like, over my lunch break to run a few boxes over. We would like to move enough of it, a lot of it by hand, and so, yeah. All right, so we've blocked in some of that. I feel like maybe I can do some highlights and get an idea. I don't know. I want to fill in a little bit more down here, I think. I want to see really the effect. Yes, Manix. We are just moving to a bigger place, which I'm terribly excited about. Our miniatures collection alone demands that we have a larger place.
They're small.
And there's too many of them.
Not too many of them.
Well, no, not that we have a bigger place. Now we have room. Technically, you could even buy more miniatures now.
I don't think... You really overestimate how much space they take up. Or overstate, anyway.
I like to exaggerate.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, Dogfather. I've got to be careful about moving. That's why I've got a lot of small boxes. It takes longer to move things, but at least I won't have to lift anything terribly heavy. And David will be able to help me on the weekends.
Yeah,
so.
now we need to hire movers.
Yeah, we do need to hire movers for anything that's sufficiently heavy, for sure, because I don't want to be doing that. Or also, our apartment isn't exactly near to my car, so hauling boxes out there is not an enjoyable process either, so.
We might want to park your...
Yeah, park my car out front, yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, is I would essentially wait, and the evening before I'd park it out there when there was nobody parked out there. Yeah, we'll have a plan, but, I mean, anything super heavy or that is endangering the Anne's back spinal health is totally going to get saved for the movers. But I don't know about you guys, but, you know, when you get a new place, you want to move in, like, right away. You want to start living there. So I'm like that. I'm going to start moving some boxes over so I can feel like I can live there sooner. Also having a full-size washer and dryer, as I told David last night, like, I was like, do you understand how important this is? It was funny. There is a fireplace. I don't know if we'll actually use it, Lady Nim. They are, I mean, I like them, but they're also kind of a pain to clean up, clean out. So, we'll see. If we have a really cold day in the winter, or a spell of coldness, I might pick up a little bit of wood and have a fire. I watched my dad build fires for so many years at home in my old house. So I know how to lay a fire and can do it. I just don't like the cleanup. I don't like scraping out all the ashes and getting rid of them afterwards, but it's not like it's too much of a pain. It's yet another thing to clean out when you're done. Dogfather, that was my one compromise. We do not have a gas stove. But I've been cooking on electric for like the last 3 years, and I've been doing fine, so I'm just gonna deal with it. And that's like the one thing I would have like wanted, but it has a really nice hood over it, and the kitchen otherwise has a ton of storage, which we need, and it does have a wine refrigerator. Yeah. You know you're in California when. And I love the fridge. The fridge is more like a fridge I used to have, which is like the double doors that open. It's got a big freezer, which we could totally use. So yeah, I feel like I can cook in this kitchen. But everything else in the house is like perfect. Like it's everything we asked for. So yeah, exactly. The fireplace chimney takes upkeep as well. Yes, good point, Agent Marvel. There is, but this is an older house and it's a mid-century modern, and we do not want to do a major infrastructure. I mean, there is gas, but we don't want to rip up floors and stuff, guys. We're not in that. That is not the type of house owners we are.
I have no idea what type of homeowner I am.
Yeah, I know, because you've never owned one before. But pretty much we are we wanted to buy a house that was as close as possible to the ideal house for us, and I think we did. We got darn close. Really, really darn close. So it is a really beautiful house. I mean, we have lots of room for the grill, and so if we want to cook over fire, we can cook over fire. So, you know, I'm okay with the electric. Alrighty, so we got some of that mapped in. You can see how where you don't have the underpainting, it's just much darker. It naturally shades itself without any extra work, which is kind of nice, right? Well, it's an Eichler, so it has gas radiant floor heat, but running that gas for a stove would involve a lot of work and money, and it's not necessary, guys. Like, okay, like, yes, gas is like what chefs use. I get it, but also we're moving away, like, in general as a country from the natural gas usage. So I think I would rather like look out there and see what kind of like really good electric stoves if we were going to get a different stove.
Yeah, we're seeing parts of the country basically ban gas stoves in new construction. So my guess is we'll see a big acceleration to high-end electric stoves as a result.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard David, but like parts of the country are banning gas stoves in new construction. So essentially, we're anticipating that there'll be a technological push for really high-end electric stoves, and we would be very interested in that. So, induction stoves are legit trash. Yep, yard for the doggo and all, Pendrake. We pick up the keys later today. It's exciting. I didn't want to like pre-announce it and jinx it, but now I feel like I I feel like it can't be jinxed, and I mean, there's okay. I just jinxed
Yeah,
it.
you should need to go outside.
I'm knocking on wood right now. We have wood.
And put salt over your shoulder.
But anyway, yeah. So we're excited, and yes, there's a yard for a doggo. And it's so yes, the puppy hunt is now officially on. The Kiri descendant puppy hunt. So I'm going to use this salmon, and I think I'm going to use... I need to choose what yellow I want to use. And definitely the yellow they used on that artwork was a little bit more faded. So I'm going to, like, try NMM Gold Highlight. And see what kind of highlight I get with my salmon color here. My Lotus Orange. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So we should look into induction stoves, Trash says, David. Induction electric stoves. They are apparently quote-unquote legit. The speed and control of a gas stove, but the induction surface stays cool, he says. So we're not going to do any remodeling, guys, for the first few years, probably. But I will I will assign some mental brain cells to remember that, Trash. Thanks for the recommend. We can research it and see what it looks like. Ooh, that went creamsicle orange. Because of the white in it, I'm going to actually do a little bit of that back into this. That'll let it highlight a little bit better. Ah, you've seen the induction stoves demonstrated. They look really sexy, Pendrake. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this is the first house I've had where my stovetop is very separate from my oven. The oven is actually at kind of chest level, which is nice because less bending. And the stovetop is separate. So we actually just have, like, instead of an oven being under the stovetop, it's actually all storage under the stovetop because it's a glass. So that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that. There are things about that I like. So yeah, it's all an exploring. Yeah, we can research those induction stoves for sure. Thanks, guys. I know so many of you love to cook and are foodies that you've got my back. So right now, though, just so excited to actually have a place that we really, really like. Can't wait to hang up the artwork, get the miniatures over there, set up the hobby room. All right, so that orange is not light enough yet to be a good highlight for this pink. So what I'm going to do is actually go up a different level, go up to the next level. Ooh, yeah, that's the color I wanted. That's the color I wanted. And then if I need to, I can glaze with the Lotus Orange to give it a little more intensity. So this is our experiment, right? To see if we like some of the colors that we're getting here. So I'm going to grab this orange then and do a couple more. And for now, I'm just going to do some edging. You could do these crackle effects like a couple different ways. You could do edging like this that implies that the edges are worn or raised. Or you could do it more like this one, where you're highlighting toward one edge more where the light is coming from. Up to you, it's really just a style thing. Like kind of what effect you want. Which one you like better. Hey David, you missed it. I dry brushed on stream.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So I think that's the first time I've ever dry brushed on the stream, unless I did some like way back in the dawn of time. Oh yeah, yeah, Agent Marvel for sure. Yeah, there are houses that probably should not have gas stoves. That is true. This is mid-century. I think it's 1953. It is a beautiful little house. Very modern design. It has a personality. Oh, interesting. So induction stoves are more energy efficient and safer around puppies and children. That's great to know. I like anything that's safe around puppies. Because you know, puppies love the stove. Puppies are like, that smells so good. Can I stick my nose in that? All right, now I'm mixing up a yellow, which is actually, this is pretty close to the yellow that they've got in the concept art that I'm using. This is NMM Gold highlight with just a little bit of the mix of the Lotus Orange in it. Makes a very pretty, soft, kind of buttery, orangey yellow. I like it a lot. They require special cookware. That's good to know. Yeah, like, it's not like we're going to run out and buy one without doing a lot of research, so. But thanks, guys. Yeah, and you've helped the rest of chat, too. The rest of chat are now curious about induction stoves, so sweet. We love it when we can entertain in more than one facet of existence. There we go. So see, that yellow highlight really pops that top edge of each of these. What are we at? We're almost done. So it's good that we definitely have, I think that this is the way I'm going. It needs to work with the magnetic field. Got it. That makes sense. The question is, can I use my cast iron Le Creuset? That's all that matters. Any surface, any stove that I cannot use Le Creuset on is like a no-go for me. Because I use that thing for so much. Love my Le Creuset. Love, love, love. Best piece of cookware I ever got. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you see, it was pretty fast too, right? And now you can settle down and do a really nice job on it still, even though you used kind of quote-unquote quickie techniques to set it up. But it saved us a lot of time and got us to the point where we could start blocking in the actual colors we want to work with within the course of the stream, even though it's a really big piece. So... But yeah, I think this worked pretty well, all things considered. And I liked how the white looked dry brushed over the black cherry color that we mixed up. We've got a couple minutes left, so we'll keep it up. I'll keep from slacking for another 5 minutes just to hang out with you guys. But yeah, if you're on my Patreon, I'll take some pictures of the new place for you and share in the off topic if you're on mine. So I'm taking some Nightmare Black, and where I see that my lines are maybe a little bit faded, or maybe I got a little bit of my dry brushing in there, I'm just going to bring in the Nightmare Black here and there to crisp those up. They're such small lines that it's not really going to register to your eye if they're dark blue instead of dark red. So unlike these bigger areas, whereas these bigger open areas are going to be more evident if you try to use your blue instead of your red. So keep that in mind. But these little places where you just need a little extra lining to keep all these little cap areas looking distinct, you can get away with a bit of blue. I really like this color, the color spectrum that we have going here, actually. There we go. Get that kind of almost a sunrise, right? Pretty colors. Ah, okay. Huh. Le Creuset cast iron is perfect for induction cooking. Yay! I haven't read about toughened nonstick. Now, I'm in the I'm in the market for a new nonstick pan. Maybe I'm gonna have to go look up what that means. Thanks, Pendrake. Pendrake with the save on the info, always. Pendrake with the Google foo. And we'll put a little bit of this yellow on the edges, and I think that I'm sold on this color. So I'll show my reference real quick again right after I get these top edges done with the yellow. So right there is where we've been working. Those are so pretty. So the colors I'm looking at here, let me show you guys the reference. Okay, that's good to know, Pendrake. Thanks. Yeah, I've got a Le Creuset small fry pan for scallops, and then I have my big Le Creuset oven that I adore, that I use for everything, like curries and stews and you name it. Beef bourguignon. All that fun stuff. It's great for curries if you don't have a traditional Indian cooking vessel. So the mushrooms that we've been using for references, guys, here, let me get, yeah, there, you can more or less see them. So if you look at this guy, he's definitely got some orange and yellow, see, fading up to the pinkish tones up here. And then this guy, the tall guy, has more. I'm trying to get it so that it's tilted correctly so that you guys can see. There we go. Yay! Perfect. Tall guy up here has more like a fleshy kind of color fading into his pink. But we definitely have like orange and yellow down in the cap on this guy, and that's what I'm pulling on for the back of her cap a bit. So we're kind of doing a mix of both of these as far as the colors. But if you wondered the color, like what art I was basing this on, it's from the Monster Manual. So just go to the Myconids and you'll see this great art. And that's there's just so many pretty colors they're using on this painting that you could give you guys a lot of inspiration for painting your mushroom people. Nice. Oh, interesting. So if a magnet sticks to your pots and pans, they will work on an induction burner. That's really awesome. All right, guys. I think I've had a great time with you guys today. I hope that you had a great Friday hanging out with me as well. What we did today, actually, we did a lot too. This is going to be so pretty. I'm really psyched about this. I think it's great. I do want to maybe bring in some orange somewhere on the other side, so we'll have to think about where we might do that. But we mixed up a beautiful black cherry color, and we did some dry brushing. Dry brushing, yes, with a mega canvas brush, the giant canvas brush of Doom, the Filbert. I love the curved brushes for dry brushing. Hopefully this showed you why. And then we, once we set up that dry brush essentially is underpainting, then we can go over the top of it with our kind of a salmon and oranges, all of our sunrise colors here, to bring up the little individual facets and crumbles of the back of the cap. And highlight it up more toward a warm, soft, buttery color, which I really love. I think this is all going to work really well. We're going to introduce some of these colors down here also, so that there's some continuity. And then I may actually have to go over on the other side and maybe bring some of that in on the edges here, actually. A little bit of that orange and yellow I think would be really pretty. It's going to intensify her color a little bit. It'll change her scheme just a tiny bit, but I think I'm in favor. I really like how these colors look on the back here. So, and if you want the black cherry color, you can mix it by using 4 drops of Fire Red, which is 9004, and a color I use a lot, so highly recommended. Likewise with Nightmare Black, 9280. So a 4 red to 1 Nightmare Black ratio gives you this beautiful black cherry color that we used as a base for this mushroom cap. So there we are. There we go. And I hope you all had... Oh, and you're still throwing me induction stove tidbits. Yeah, okay, cool. That was about magnets. Yeah, see you all this afternoon. It's Reaperland at 3 p.m. Central USA time. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you again on Monday. Monday is Lizette Day. We're back to Lizette. All right. Thank you too, Quindy. You're always a dream. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everybody.